Hey everyone, Milo here. I want to talk to you guys about some stuff that happened in my life. Maybe from early in 2015 to till now, right? 2018 to going 2019. I'm glad you guys made it. I want to talk about a lot of stuff that happened to me through going to Japan and all that stuff. And it's a long story, and I've done it before. I just want to have it so everybody understands what I went through, what I've gone through going overseas, and my whole basically trauma and life story and whatever you may call it, right? So if we go back to, way back to me 2011, 2012, I made my first trip to go to Japan, and it was for me it was the big step of me going alone, finally living alone for the first time, and traveling alone for the first time. So it was a big deal for me. I made this mission to be like a translator overseas, and it started off me doing an ESL, teaching English to adults in Japan, right? Everybody starts off ESL. Everybody starts off with a teacher in Japan. It's unavoidable, right? And yeah, I did this stupid thing because I wouldn't say I was desperate, but I was one of those guys that maybe I can find a way to not pay a certain amount to do X Y Z whatever. So I lived with a roommate, and I was I didn't know too much, because I had like a online kind of pen pal kind of thing going on before, I've lived with that person, and then basically he was like an online best friend, and then he turned to a real best friend, and like when I went to Japan, right, and then this relationship turned into this, we help each other, and throughout it was going pretty well, I remember when I started doing the teaching and stuff, and things would get hard, and like and I'd feel I guess like depressed or whatever, or needed the emotional support, whatever, right? He was there. We started from literally no furniture to furniture, which is to me was a lot. I was going to Tokyo Hands and other places to get little knickknacks and stuff, whatever. Right? It was pretty cool. It's like you have a good a solid friendship there, right? So down the line, me and him had a fight. Basically, we had a fallout, right? And I remember we had a big argument, and I needed to get a let off some steam or whatever, right? So I remember that day I left the place and I went to talk to my friend. My friend, I don't know if he's watching the video, but my friend Nayo, right? My friend Nayo, and we talked at one of those cafes, whatever, in Shibuya, and I just told him about everything that was happening, basically me living with this person and how shit this went south, I guess. And he was a very comforting person, and then we had this idea to have like a good time. We wanted to have a really great time, and just like basically forget all the stress I've been having, right, with like work and like getting a new visa and all this stuff, right? So I remember we went to Shakuin Sushi, and it was awesome. Like I spent basically what $15, and I got like basically a banquet of sushi. If you ever have a chance, go to Shakuin Sushi in Shibuya, right? Does that happen? And then we had a really great party at things like B Cafe or something like that, or different clubs, different. I was like what 20, 22, 21, so I was like having a good time, right? and I didn't want to remember whatever happened, you know, with my friend that I'm living with. All right, so all that happens, and amazing night, like crazy, running through Roppongi, running through Shibuya, just amazing stuff, right? And come back home, like I mean, like 7 morning, whatever, and I crash because I'm done, right? And I remember my roommate, you know, he woke me up, and he's like, oh, you know, Michael-san, someone's at the door, whatever, and basically it was an investigator, right? And the investigator came in, and basically he said, well, it wasn't that he said he was shocked that I was here, you know, and this is like, why are you here, right? And the idea of that was like, my friend lied to me about me being on the lease, right? So he gave us an ultimatum, right? So the ultimatum was basically that either I leave or we both leave, right? And at that time, you know, even though I had a fight with this person, and I have a little bit of emotions of like, you know, screw this guy, whatever, right? I have this thing about me that I will keep my logical thinking of like, oh, you know, we started from nothing. I'm just a foreigner, right? I can just find some other place, whatever. I thought about that, and even the investigator said that, right? And basically, the ultimatum was like, yeah, it's either you leave or you both leave, and it's just like, I may be homeless, you know, for this happening, right? But I'm sure at the time I wasn't thinking on the way of that I'm sure I'm gonna find something else, but I understood that, you know, I'm the foreigner, I can just go back home, right? But at the same time, I still have this, because I haven't been able to step into translating yet. I've only been doing ESL stuff, right? And I had that mission, so this really made me angry, right? And I remember when he left, and the investigator said, oh, you know, I know that the way the situation is, I don't have any like fight or anything, or I have to get the police involved and all that stuff. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that because I'm not stupid, right? So he said that, left, and there was a tension in the air. You know, there's this like, I wouldn't say it was like a murderous intent or anything like that. No, it was like, maybe I should beat this person up. Maybe I should do something foul, right? You know, something out of character, right? And that was just, I would say that was just an insecurity of like, you know, this person screwed you over, you should do this back. That kind of energy was going on. And I was smart. My friend Ray, Renard, helped me out. He came and like helped me move basically. I had to pack everything and leave the same day. There was no 30 days you gotta leave. It was like that day you gotta go find something. You gotta go somewhere, right? And funny thing about that day was basically when I was having a good time, my friend Nye, whatever, he told me this exact words. You know, if you ever need a place to crash, and you can always hit me up, you know, whatever happens, you can always hit me up, right? And I was like, I was like, thank you, you know, whenever that day may happen, I will think of you, right? And then that day happened the next day, you know, and I remember I was like maybe 9 or 10 o'clock, and I was hitting him up, and I was like, hey, remember that time that you said, you know, whatever would happen, you know, you got my bag. I need your bag right now. So that happened, and it took a while. And then he was like, okay, man, you can stay over or whatever until you figure out whatever you need to do. And I stayed over like for like a week. And then I really started to think about my life. I really started thinking about, how to making this stuff work. How much money I have left for, apartments and this being me there. And that turned into like life being more real, right? Life being more, what exactly are you trying to do here, And eventually, my friend Ray again, he, funny enough, he found the job on, Craigslist, right? And it was like a translation job, right? It was like can't exactly tell what that company is, but I know it was a link through, I think, like Global Power or something like that. And they dispatched me to this place, and I was the only black dude there that spoke Japanese, and there was Chinese people that worked with me, which was cool, but that was in that whole building, maybe in the whole city, I was the only black person there. I'd never seen anyone like me there. So that happened, and things were going good, until I got sick, right? So I got sick because of the stress I had of like trying to make things work, basically, trying to make living expenses and like groceries and all that stuff, all living stuff, right? I was being stupid because I was partying to compensate for the stress of that was my therapy, going out and partying and drinking and all that stuff. I would probably drink probably 4 or 5 times a week, and nomikai, your coworkers, whatever, like that was going on as well too, and you feel kind of obliged to do that because it's a dream culture, and I went through that, and I remember one day, my tongue was just like swollen, like something was going on, and like my jaw was kind of just like it felt like it flared up, and I remember I would start doing, brush my teeth more, I'd have like different kind of little remedies and stuff going on, like having lime, I would find like aloe vera plant and cut the aloe vera plant and make fucking aloe vera kind of like a drink or whatever. I'd put the aloe vera on like maybe on my neck, because my neck was starting to swell up too, and worse and worse and worse, the strep throat that was turning into, or what it was anyways, turned into mono, right? And I remember one time when I was at work, I had to go to the washroom and just like throw up, and it wasn't like throwing up what I ate, it was like throwing up phlegm, and it's like I guess it's dead white blood cells, because dead white blood cells turn green or whatever. And I threw that up inside the washroom, and it took a little bit of time, and then they're kind of suspicious of what I'm doing and everything, and they know I drink those, those vitamin drinks you get from the convenience, or like one of those Jihankis or whatever. I would drink a lot of them because that's how, if I have enough vitamins in me, I mean, to sustain this thing, right? And that went on for a bit, and what happened after that was this, like, I had to go to the doctor, because I remember one day, it was pretty scary. I woke up and my kidneys were hurting me and my heart was going too fast, right? So I was kind of scared to the point that I was like, wow, I'm gonna die in this bed, because I didn't treat this properly or whatever, right? And then I fainted, and I woke up again, and I was like, I need to go to the hospital. And then I went to try to go to the hospital. I remember it was like maybe like 7 or 8 or whatever, and I walked all the way to the hospital, and they told me that like, oh, we can't like serve you, we can't like help you out. And I was like, what do you mean? It's like, oh, it's not 24 hours basically. It's like we don't start, it's like they do a 9 to 5 kind of thing. It's not like, it's the biggest culture shock was that it was the idea that hospitals over there are not 24/7. If you were to get the help that you need or whatever, right? You had to like call a Kikucha or whatever, right? And that would be like Rokuman yen, you know, like $600 or and up to get an ambulance and let them work on you and that whole biz, right? So it was like, I'm not trying to spend 600 or whatever just for this, right? So they said, oh, you should wait. You can't wait here. You have to like wait somewhere else, right? You have to like wait back home and come over. It's like, it shouldn't be that far, whatever. So I walked back again, you know, and then I walked back. I think I was in an alleyway or whatever, and I just kind of just fainted again. And then I realized that I was on the street, and then I kind of get up and kind of rush back and kind of relax, kind of rested up until I could get back on my feet, basically, you know. And then I went, when I finally was able to go back, and I got the prescription and everything. At that time, I didn't have like international, you know, health insurance, cause I didn't sign it before, so everything was like $200 whatever to get the subscriptions and stuff like that. Of like if you were gonna get you know, drugs, you know, or medication, whatever, medication, drugs, anything. And so it costs a little bit more. And then I remember I was taking that steady, and it relieved some stuff in the beginning. Actually, in the beginning when I started taking it, it felt like it was gone, you know. And then I was like, okay, maybe it's working. And then after that, you know, it stopped working. And I remember I had to, you know, gargle, you know, salt water and all that stuff, all these remedies and stuff, right? And I remember that one day I was like, I had enough, man. I need to get the right treatment, because my parents and my sister is getting very, she's very worried about me, right? It's like, you don't have to, you know, there will always been an opportunity. But at that time, my mindset at that time is like, there is no other opportunity. You need to do this and make whatever money and make whatever. Because my plan, you know, over there was to, you know, work the work holiday visa and then some way get a humanitarian visa by working with a company, right? Because it will sponsor you eventually, right? And I was close. You know, I just needed to be there long enough that day to see that, because I was working pretty quickly. I was getting my work done faster than most people who are not even my age, right? Those people are like in their 40s, 30s, right? I'm a 20-year-old guy getting, you know, stuff done quickly, you know? So I felt I was on the right track. Everybody liked me. I really loved my supervisor. And that's where I had to talk to them and be like, hey, you know, I can't work here anymore. And it was kind of painful, you know, because I'll never forget the look, you know, my supervisor gave me. That it's like in the beginning it was like, first they didn't even believe me. First they were like, oh, you know, he's just saying this whatever because of, I don't know what the reason why. It's like they needed some kind of proof why. And I remember one of my coworkers spoke on my behalf, and they were like, you know, no. He has a prescription from, you know, a doctor, right? So there's no way he can get this kind of medication if he doesn't have like a doctor's note or whatever, right? And I showed them the doctor's note, and I showed them the medication and doing whatever, and I had to just like basically just talk about my life, right? And I remember the guy who dispatched me, I think like, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this guy's name, but Shige or whatever. And I had to tell him that I couldn't work anymore, but I told him afterwards when I was like, I quit, I can't do it because my health is deteriorating. Alright, so I remember when I left and I saw my supervisor, it's like the face expression that he had, it was like, it's like he knew that I could have been something more, and I left him, you know. And it's like they had I was promising. I was a promising person, you know, like I was gonna be something, you know, there. And it's just like I had to just leave just like that, and the expectations and all that stuff out the window, right? So, and then when I came back, when I came at home, and like it's like it was still going on. It was still having the heart problems. I was having kidney problems. You know, I was turning into one of those hypochondriacs. You know, like I'd have like different types of vitamins. I have like fish oils and stuff. I have like things that I looked up online that I think that would help me. You know, and that progressed. You know, that progressed when I finally made my way back home. You know, I finally got home, whatever, and my parents picked me up, whatever, and I was just in my room and just like kind of just thinking about life, and it's like the way my mindset was at that moment was like I'm a failure, and what now? You know, it's like for me at that point, you know, it's like either you make it or you die. You know, and I was such an extremist. I was so extreme in the way I was thinking. You know, I was so extreme that like you do it or die kind of mentality. I was like I can get to that place, you know, in my mind, right? And I know that, you know, for age, you know, I know that's not a good way to live, right? So because of all that happening, whatever, because of my friend betraying me in Japan and all that stuff, a lot of trust issues, and I had this genuine hate for Japanese people. Actually, I didn't like Japanese people for maybe 3-4 years because of that one person, and it was such a small mind I had, you know, on that, because one person shouldn't reflect everybody, you know, the whole race. It doesn't make any sense. But I did understand the nature of Chinese people and like the culture. I knew it enough to have my opinion, my ideology behind it, right? So it was very love-hate relationship with them, you know? And, you know, continuing on in Canada, I was, like I said before, I turned into a hypochondriac, right? And I was going in and out of hospitals for maybe like 3 times a week. 3 times a week, getting different antibiotics for some shit that like probably doesn't even exist anymore at that point, you know? Everything, like the heart palpitations and like my kidney accident was not because of mono. It was because of me thinking that my life is over, my life is finished, right? And depression. That's what made me that way. That's what made me have heart problems. That's what made me have these panic attacks. You know, I didn't even know what a panic attack was. I don't know if you could even have one. You know, I didn't, like when people talk about anxiety or whatever, I'm like, whatever. Anxiety to me, I didn't think that exists. You know. So all of that happening and going through, it was putting a strain on my parents. And there was one time that was like, I was such a prima donna, man. I was like so dramatic in like how I would feel, like when I would think of Japan, when I would think of what I should be doing, whatever, I would have a panic attack. Because I would say, oh, maybe this is not the life I'm not living, right? And I knew that, right? And I had to face that every day, right? Face how my supervisor looked at me. You know, I faced how I was so stupid to live with someone like that, right? And, you know, I had to rethink a lot of things, and I had to learn to face my own stuff, face my own shit, right? And in that time, when I was finally back in Canada, I took so much time to learn about herbs and like homotherapy, all that stuff, you know? And I remember when I finally got out of my depression, I finally, like, I just need to be around people again. I needed to be in society, right? So after like 4 years of like depression, I go back and I work some shitty job at like Tim Hortons, right? And if you don't know what Tim Hortons is, it's basically like a cafe for Canadians. I think it's in America too, but anyways, I work there, and I have a very upbeat attitude when it comes to working and like with other people. If someone has a shitty day or whatever, or they're just like a grumpy person, I always think of the opposite. I always think of the like very optimistic. I'm a very optimistic person. I always think of the good signs of things, right? And a lot of the negative stuff I ignore. But there's this like, I guess, group of women, whatever, that were just like, they're in that clusterfuck of, I need to feel bad, and you gotta feel bad with me. If you feel good, then why are you feeling good? Kind of weird. Like, anyways, getting to the point. I started, things were going a little more better, until my sister got hit by a car, right? And I didn't even know until like maybe the end of the day that she got hit by a car, and then that kind of just festered in my mind, right? I was like, man, I hope my sister's all right, and back and forth. And then I remember I was riding on my bike, going to work at like 6 o'clock in the morning, October 5th, 2015. At 6 o'clock in the morning, I got hit by a car on my way to work. It was. I'm not gonna say that I didn't like, that I liked my job. I didn't like my job, because I felt like it was it was like going to something that isn't me, and I'm trying to fit this mold of like something below my status, right? And that was in my head, and like my sister getting hit, and it's like me going to this job, and I cross in the street and I get hit, and I'm like, it's just like how they say, it's like slow-mo. Everything is in slow-mo when it's happening, right? And how it happened is just like, I get hit, I get hit and I land to the ground, and the bike is like between me and the car, right? So the car's still coming in, mind you, when I already hit the ground, it's still coming in, right? And if the bike wasn't there, and I didn't say, hey, whoa, stop, basically, like, I would have gotten run over, and that was really surreal for me, right? And from that happening, I broke my elbow. I broke my arm, and it was fractured, and then I was depressed again, just on this like the arm, but it wasn't the same kind of depression. It was like I had enough, man. Like I had enough of this, and I that went into like going to, what's that, rehabilitation, whatever. You gotta like strengthen your arm, cause I had to strengthen my arm again and everything. And then, I remember one day, my friend, a good friend Matt, he hit me up and he's like, I'm gonna go do some street photography. Get your camera up and let's just go out and let's just shoot. Let's just do it. And the time I went out and did that, it meant so much to me. Not at that moment, but the feeling of being free, of just like you can just capture whatever these moments you have, like that you take, you can look at that photo and remember everything. For me, I can remember everything from looking at a photo. So continue on what I was saying. It didn't mean a lot to me, but I didn't know it until I got it more into right? So from that happening, I just started to, I got more interested into photography. I got more interested into knowing more about photography and like building up on my skills, and understanding this world and getting out of my comfort zone, and just meeting people and I really started to like it. I really liked hanging around artists. I really liked hanging around people who are just creative, and just doing it, right? That turned into me wanting to do it for real. When people started asking me, hey, how much you charge, and I was like, what do you mean, right? Because to me, it really is fun. It really is this adventure, and that whole thing happening made me think of Canadians don't actually have like a base to, because what we started doing is doing music videos and photo shoots and having just running around, having a good time basically, and we wanted to make a base for Canadians, so we made this company called Next Level, right? And from that time, I never thought that, well, I've done work online before, I've done stuff for a company, and they'd send me assignments, whatever, and I would just do translation, whatever. But I never thought of doing gigs as a lifestyle and making money from that, and planning on different shoots, and it was awesome. It was like, this can be a job, this can be a lifestyle, and here we are now, right? So now I'm in photography, well, for me, for where I see it, I feel like I was always in it, but I was never committed to it, if that makes any sense. I was never committed to it, so I never really wanted to indulge, right? So I wanted to talk about that, I wanted to share this with you guys, because I feel like on my channel, I don't really talk about myself. I don't really talk about what goes on. I don't really talk about when things, I don't have anything, to offer, no content or whatever. And I want to do more things on this channel that is authentic and real, and who I am as an actual person, not just some guy who just likes Japanese stuff. I have several other things I'm really into, and I would like to share that. And if you want to join me on this adventure, buckle up, because I'm going to be talking about a lot of stuff. A different version of me is going to come out on this channel. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.